I killed my own brother that night, not with a gun or a knife, but with the cold precision of a truth he'd buried for 20 years, right there in the rotting floorboards of Grandma's forgotten house. The air reeked of mildew and regret as his pleas echoed off the peeling wallpaper. But I didn't flinch. Betrayal has a way of sharpening your edges until mercy feels like suicide. And just when I thought I'd claimed my vengeance, the floor gave way beneath us both, unearthing a secret that made me question if I was the monster or the savior all along. The lawyer's office in downtown Seattle smelled like stale coffee and broken promises, the kind of place where dreams go to get notarized and then shredded. I sat there, Jake Harlan, 34 years old and fresh off a divorce that left me with nothing but a beat-up Ford pickup and a grudge the size of the Cascades. My brother, Ethan, lounged across from me in his tailored suit, smirking like he owned the goddamn world, which, in our family, he pretty much did. Grandma's will was supposed to be a formality, a division of her dusty antiques and that crumbling Victorian she'd left rotting in the suburbs of Tacoma since she passed last spring. But nothing's ever simple when money's involved, especially not with the Harlans. Jake, the lawyer droned, adjusting his bifocals. Your grandmother's estate is unconventional. The bulk goes to Ethan, as executor, stocks, the cabin up in the Olympics, all that. But there's a condition for you. He slid a yellowed envelope across the desk, sealed with wax that looked like it had been stamped in the Eisenhower era. Ethan's grin widened. The bastard. We'd been thick as thieves growing up, fishing off the docks in Puget Sound, sneaking beers behind the high school bleachers, but that was before he climbed the corporate ladder on my back. Before he borrowed my ideas for his tech startup and left me holding the bag when the feds came knocking for embezzlement. I tore open the envelope, my hand steady despite the knot in my gut. Inside was a single sheet, her spidery handwriting looping like vines. Jacob, my boy. The house on Elm Street is yours, but only if you live in it for 1 full year.
No renting.
No selling. Face the ghosts I couldn't. Or lose it all to the wolves. Wolves. That was her code for Ethan. Always had been. She'd seen through his charm. The way he'd sweet-talk nurses during her chemo sessions while pocketing her pain meds to sell on the street. I glanced up, meeting his eyes blue like mine, but colder, sharper. What the hell is this? Ethan? Some kind of joke. He chuckled, low and easy, like we were kids again. Grandma always had a flair for the dramatic. But hey, it's a roof over your head. Beats crashing on my couch. The implication hung there. I was the fuck up. The one who'd tanked his marriage on bad bets and worse whiskey. Never mind that he'd slept with my wife, Lindsay, 6 months before she filed. Evidence from their texts had surfaced in the settlement. But Ethan? He'd walked away unscathed, promoted at his firm for handling stress. The lawyer cleared his throat. It's ironclad, Mr. Harlan. Sign here, and the deed's yours, contingent on residency. Fail, and it reverts to the estate. I signed, the pen scratching like claws on bone. What choice did I have? My job as a line cook at that greasy spoon in Capitol Hill barely covered gas. And the house, hell, it was paid off. Worth a cool $500,000 if the market held.
A year.
I could gut it out. Ethan clapped me on the shoulder as we left, his grip too tight. Don't do anything stupid, little bro. Family first. Right? Family.
The word tasted like ash.
Driving south on I-5 that afternoon, Rain sluicing the windshield like tears I wouldn't shed. I replayed the last time I'd seen Grandma alive. Hospice bed in her Bellingham condo. Tubes snaking everywhere. Her voice a rasp. Ethan's not who you think.
Jake.
Protect what's yours. I'd nodded. Held her hand. Promised. But promises are cheap when your brother's the one holding the strings. The house loomed at the end of Elm Street like a bad memory. 3 stories of sagging gingerbread trim. Windows boarded like blind eyes. The yard a jungle of blackberry brambles that could flay skin off bone. Tacoma's working-class edge, where Boeing retirees and meth-head flippers jostled for space. I parked the truck, killed the engine, and sat there in the gathering dusk, the wipers thumping a funeral dirge.
Inside.
It was worse. Dust motes danced in flashlight beams. Furniture shrouded in sheets like corpses. The kitchen clock had stopped at 3:17, probably the exact minute Grandpa keeled over from a heart attack in '98. Grandma never changed it. I unrolled my sleeping bag on the living room floor, the hardwood groaning under me. Sleep came fitful, haunted by dreams of Ethan laughing, Lindsay's perfume clinging to his collar. Morning brought the real nightmare. A leak in the attic had turned the master bedroom ceiling into a moldy Jackson Pollock. I spent the day prying boards off windows, letting in light that revealed cobwebs thick as regrets. By evening, I'd cleared enough space to breathe, but the silence pressed in, broken only by the distant wail of a siren from the industrial docks. That's when I found the first loose floorboard, in the hallway upstairs, right outside Grandma's old study. It popped up with a splintery creak, revealing a tin box rusted at the edges. Inside, faded Polaroids of us kids. Me and Ethan mugging for the camera at Alki Beach. But one caught my eye, Grandma. Younger.
Arm around a man who wasn't Grandpa.
The back read, with Daniel, 72. Forgive me. Daniel. I'd heard whispers as a kid. Some uncle who vanished before I was born. Heart racing. I pocketed it. Secrets.
She said. Ghosts.
Ethan called that night, his voice all concern. Settling in? Need anything? I lied.
Said fine.
But as I hung up, staring at the photo, I felt the first stir of something dark uncoiling in my chest. Vengeance? Curiosity? Hell if I knew. But that house, it wasn't just walls and rot. It was a trap, sprung by a dead woman's hand, and I was the fly buzzing too close to the web. Days blurred into a rhythm of decay and discovery. I patched the roof with tarps from Home Depot. Credit card maxed to the limit. Neighbors nodded warily. A retired cop named Harlan, no relation, thank God, who mowed his lawn like it owed him money. And Mrs. Kowalski next door, who baked lemon bars laced with nosy questions. Your grandma was a pistol, she'd say, peering over her chain-link fence. Kept to herself after your grandpa went. But that brother of yours, slippery as an eel.
Slippery. Yeah.
Ethan dropped by on week 2, unannounced, his Tesla gleaming like a middle finger in the driveway. He brought takeout from that fusion place in Belltown, sustainable salmon poke bowls. Because of course he did. We ate on the porch steps, the brambles clawing at our ankles. This place is a money pit.
Jake.
Sell it. I'll front the legal fees. His eyes flicked to the for sale sign I'd half considered, then back to me.
Calculating.
I chewed slow, tasting salt and suspicion. Grandma's wish. You know how she was. He shrugged. but there was a tightness around his mouth. The tell he'd had since we were teens, lying about curfew.
Suit yourself.
Just don't expect me to bail you out when the pipes burst. He left cash on the banister, 5 crisp hundreds, for incidentals, and drove off, taillights fading into the sodium glow of street lamps. That night, buzzed on the Pabst I'd stashed in the fridge, it still hummed. Miracle of miracles. I pried up more floorboards in the study. Under the desk, a ledger, handwritten, dates from the 80s. Entries in Grandma's script. Loan to E. Harlan, $10,000. Collateral none. For business. Ethan's first venture. A flop burger joint in Lakewood that burned down under suspicious circumstances. Arson. The rumors went, but no charges. And there,
Tucked in the pages.
a newspaper clipping. Local man vanishes after embezzling funds from family business. Daniel Harlan. Age 28. Uncle Dan. Grandma's brother. The pieces didn't fit yet, but they scratched at the edges of my skull like rats in the walls. I dreamed of fire that night. Ethan standing in the flames, laughing as I choked on smoke. Woke sweating. The house creaking like it was alive.
Vispering dig diter.
By month 1, I'd turned the ground floor livable, new locks on the doors. Tacoma's break-ins weren't folklore. A hot plate for coffee that didn't taste like despair. Work kept me sane, flipping burgers at dawn. Home by dark to wrestle with the house's innards. But Ethan. He haunted the margins. Text checking in, always with an offer laced with control. Heard about the mold, get a pro. My treat. I ignored most. But the cash burned a hole in my wallet until I used it for a plumber who found black water in the basement pipes. Thick with God knows what. That's where I hit pay dirt. The basement stairs sagged like a drunk sneeze, leading to a warren of concrete and shadows. Flashlight beam caught a steamer trunk, padlocked, half buried under collapsed shelves. Bolt cutters from the truck made short work inside. Yellowed letters tied with twine. Dearest Ruth. One began Grandma's name. I can't keep running. The money's gone. But Ethan. He's the key. Protect him from what I've done. Signed, Daniel. Ethan? My Ethan? A kid then. Barely 10. The letters painted a picture. Uncle Dan. Small-time hustler. Skimming from a union pension fund Grandpa managed at the shipyards. When the heat came, Dan bolted, leaving a trail that pointed to the family. But the last letter, Ethan saw me bury it. The ledger. Under the old oak. Make him pay, Ruth. For his silence.
Bury it.
The oak in the backyard. Struck by lightning in '05. Stumped still there like a gravestone. Dawn found me out there. Shovel biting earth. Mud caking my jeans. Ethan called mid-dig. Lunch? My club. I grunted yes, hiding the dirt under my nails. Over club sandwiches in his wood-paneled world, views of Elliott Bay, waiters in starched whites, I probed. Remember Uncle Dan? His fork paused. Just a beat. Vaguely. Why?
Lie.
The eyes gave it away. Grandma mentioned him. Loose ends. He smiled. That shark flash. Water under the bridge.
Jake.
Focus on the house. It's your big break.
Break. Yeah.
I drove back. Finished the hole as rain lashed down. Nothing but worms and roots. But the seed was planted, Ethan knew.
About Dan.
The money. The fire maybe. And Grandma? She'd made me the bloodhound, sicked on her own grandson. That night, alone with the ghosts, I poured a whiskey, Grandpa's old bottle, half empty in the pantry, and toasted the dark. To family, I muttered. The house answered with a groan, as if laughing. Month 2 hit like a freight train from the Union Pacific yards, relentless, grinding. The house fought back, wiring that sparked like 4th of July. A raccoon family turning the attic into their personal meth lab. I worked doubles at the diner, grease under my nails mixing with sawdust, coming home to collapse on a futon that smelled like defeat. But the letters from the trunk? They were my midnight gospel, read by lantern light as thunder rolled off the sound. Daniel Harlan wasn't just a thief, he was an architect of ruin. The correspondence spanned years. From his early scams in Reno casinos to the big score, siphoning kickbacks from Boeing subcontractors in the 70s boom. Grandpa covered for him, dipping into the shipyard slush fund, until the IRS audit in '82. Dan fled to Mexico, but not before wiring cash to Ruth Grandma for safekeeping. And Ethan? The letters hinted at a night in '81, the boy trailing his uncle to the backyard, watching him torch documents in a barrel fire. Silence bought with a promise. Keep quiet,
Kid.
and there's a cut for you when you're grown.
Cuts.
Ethan's startup seed money in '05, right after he graduated Wharton on a scholarship that smelled fishy. I cross-referenced on my ancient laptop. Library Wi-Fi the only lifeline. Public records showed a wire transfer from an offshore account, Dan's ghost money, into Ethan's first venture. Coincidence? Bullshit. My brother had played the long game, laundering family sins into Silicon Valley gold. I confronted him over beers at a dive in Fife, the kind with peanut shells on the floor and jukebox country wailing about lost loves. Uncle Dan, did you know where the cash came from? His laugh was a bark, foam on his upper lip.
Jesus. Jake.
Still digging up skeletons? That was ancient history. Dad, Grandpa handled it. Lie again. Smoother this time. But his knee bounced under the table. A tick from poker nights we'd hustled together. Back home, the house felt smaller, walls closing like a vice. I started sleeping with a baseball bat by the bed, not for intruders but for the what-ifs clawing my dreams. Lindsay texted out of the blue. Heard you're squatting in Mom's old place. Ethan says hi.
Blocked.
But the barb stuck Ethan. Always the puppeteer. The twist came mid-month. A knock at midnight. Rain sheeting off the porch. Mrs. Kowalski. Umbrella dripping. Eyes wide. Saw lights in the basement.
Dear.
Thought you should know your grandma kept a safe down there. Behind the furnace. She pressed a key into my palm, cold as accusation. She told me, years ago, for emergencies. The safe was rusted shut, but the key turned with a click like fate locking in. Inside, a fat envelope of cash, 20s, crisp as 90s greed, and a cassette tape, labeled Confession DH. I had no player, but the library's ancient boombox did the trick next day. Headphones clamped as I hid in a corral like a paranoid undergrad. Dan's voice crackled through static, tinny and desperate. Ruth, if you're hearing this, I'm gone for good. The feds are closing in, $200K unaccounted. But it's not all me. Your boy Ethan. He found the stash. The one I hid in the floorboards. Kid's got ice in his veins. Said he'd rat me out unless I cut him in. 10 grand at 12. He took it and smiled. Burn this. Protect Jake. He's clean. ice in his veins. My brother, 12 years old, extorting his uncle. The tape ended with a sob. Dan's last. I sat there. Library hum fading. World tilting. Ethan wasn't just complicit. He'd been the spark.
And Grandma?
She'd known. Buried it to shield us both, but mostly him. The golden boy. Until the cancer stripped her illusions. I drove home, white-knuckled. Tape clutched like a grenade. The oak stump mocked me from the yard, no ledger. But maybe the house held more. That night, I tore into the study walls. Drywall dust choking me like lies. Behind a framed photo of us all at Christmas '95, Ethan's arm around Lindsay. Already staking claim, a hollow space. More letters. This time from Grandpa, Ruth. The boy's poison. Dan's gone. But Ethan's worse. Started fires in the garage.
Testing.
If Jake knew. Fires. The burger joint. My mind reeled. Connecting dots to the audit Grandpa weathered. The accident that cost him his pension. Ethan. Always flipping, charming 1 minute. Ruthless the next. I'd seen it in boardrooms he'd dragged me to. Pitching my code ideas as his own. Then ghosting when the client balked. Sleep evaded me. Dawn brought Ethan again. This time with a real estate agent in tow, blonde, clipboard clutching. All teeth. Thought I'd help expedite. You hate this dump. The agent cooed over potential, but her eyes said tear it down. I shut the door in their faces. Ethan's protest muffled by oak. Alone. I played the tape again. Dan's words a loop of condemnation. Protect Jake. But she hadn't, not fully. The will was her final play, forcing me into the lair to unearth the beast.
And now?
Vengeance simmered. Not hot rage, but cold calculus. I'd play along.
Draw him in.
Week 3. I invited him over, needed advice on wiring, and watched him prowl the house like a buyer. Not a brother. He paused at the study, fingers tracing the patched wall. Find anything interesting? Casual. Too casual. Ghosts, I said, handing him a beer. We sat on the porch, stars pricking the overcast sky. Like Uncle Dan. Remember the stories? He swigged. Adam's apple bobbing.
Fairy tales.
Why drag it up? Because Grandma did. In the will.
Lie.
But it landed, his jaw tightened. She wanted truth.
Ethan.
About the money. Silence stretched, broken by a distant barge horn. Then, soft, Dan was a crook. Dragged us all down. I was a kid.
Jake.
What could I do? What could he do?
Take the cut.
Watch the family fracture. Build an empire on bones. I nodded, feigning sympathy.
Yeah.
Kid stuff. He left uneasy, promising to look into contractors. But as his Tesla purred away, I felt the shift, the house, the secrets, arming me. That night, digging in the basement again, I found the real ledger, wedged in insulation, columns of dates,
Amounts.
names. Ethan's fingerprints, metaphorical but damning. And at the bottom, in red ink, for Jake, the fall guy. Fall guy. The startup bust in '08. I'd signed the loans, trusted his pitch. Feds raided. I took the plea for fraud. 18 months in Walla Walla while he pivoted to consulting. Lindsay left during visitation, citing irreconcilable damage. Damage.
Yeah.
The ledger burned in my hand. evidence, leverage. But revenge? It whispered plans. Expose him. Watch his world crumble like this house. Or deeper, make him feel the isolation.
The rot.
Month's end. A storm hit, winds howling off the strait, power out for days. I huddled by candlelight, ledger open, plotting. Ethan texted, storm bad?
Crashemine.
Tempting.
But no.
This was my crucible now. When light returned, so did clarity. I'd string him along, feed the beast his own greed. The house wasn't a prison, it was my arsenal.
And Ethan?
He'd come knocking, hungry for the kill. But as I nailed down the last loose board, a chill settled. What if the ghosts wanted more than truth? What if they wanted blood? Fall crept in like a thief, leaves turning the yard into a bonfire of warnings, crunch underfoot, decay in the air. Tacoma's chill bit deeper, fog rolling off Commencement Bay to cloak the streets in suspicion. I'd rigged solar lanterns for blackouts. But the real darkness was internal now. The ledger a talisman on my nightstand. Pages dog-eared. Margins scribbled with questions. How much did Grandma know? Did Grandpa suspect the fires were Ethan's test runs? Sleep was a luxury, replaced by pacing the creaky halls, the house's pulse sinking with my own ragged breath. Work suffered. I burned a batch of hash browns, got a write-up from the manager, a ex-Marine who eyed my hollow cheeks like I was going AWOL. Get your head in the game, Harlan.
Game.
If only he knew. Evenings. I pored over public records at the Pierce County Courthouse, a squat brutalist bunker downtown. Ethan's empire, Harlan Ventures, LLC, acquisitions in green tech, board seats at startups. But buried in liens, a trail of shell companies tracing to that offshore wire. Dan's money, laundered through Pacific Northwest banks, fueling the rise. A name popped, Victor Reyes, Ethan's right hand at the firm. Excop, dirty as the Duwamish. I tailed him one lunch, bad stakeout. My truck too conspicuous in the lot, but caught him slipping an envelope to a union rep outside a waterfront dive. Bribes? Payoffs? The pieces fit. Ethan's consulting greased palms for contracts. Echoes of Grandpa's shipyard days. Confrontation brewed. But I played cagey. Called Ethan. Found something in the attic, old bonds. Worth checking?
He bit. Hard.
Arrived next day in khakis and loafers. Like a weekend warrior. We rummaged amid insulation bats. His flashlight beam jittery. Bonds.
Huh?
Grandma was always hoarding. I handed him a stack, fakes, printed from templates on the library PC. Faces inflated. His eyes lit. Greedy. This could be substantial. Then, a casual. Anything else? Letters. Maybe. Probe returned. I shrugged.
Some.
About Dan. He froze. Beams swinging wild. Let it go.
Jake.
For your own good. My good. The words ignited something feral. That night, alone, I smashed a mirror in the bathroom, shards like accusations, blood mixing with sink water. Who was I becoming? The betrayed brother? Or the mirror of him, calculating? Cold? Twist sharpened mid-month. A package on the porch. No return address.
Inside.
A USB drive and note. Truth hurts.
Use it.
A friend. The drive, emails.
Étanes signature.
To Reyes. Handle the auditor like 08.
No traces.
Oh, 8, the year I went down. And attachments, bank statements. Transfers to Lindsay's account post-divorce. $50,000. Hush money or payment for services rendered. Lindsay. The knife twisted deeper. I drove to her apartment in Lakewood, a cookie-cutter complex off the interstate. She answered in yoga pants, hair tousled, surprise flickering before walls went up.
Jake.
What? You and him. The money. I thrust the printouts, voice steady as rebar. Her face drained. It wasn't like that.
He.
Helped after you left. The house. Bills.
Left.
Like prison was a vacation. He fucked you while I was inside. Lynn's. And paid you to forget. Tears. But no denial. Ethan said it was over. A mistake.
Mistake.
The word we'd used for my plea deal. His idea to take the heat off the family. I left her sobbing. Drive home a blur of neon and rage. The house welcomed me with silence. But now it felt complicit. Walls that had hidden her betrayal too. Ethan sensed the shift. Called twice. Everything okay? Sound off.
Elite smooth.
Invited him for poker, our old ritual. He came, bottle of Macallan in hand, the good stuff. We played at the dining table, dustcloth pulled, cards slapping like slaps. His tells were gone, poker face honed in high-stakes rooms, but I bluffed harder. Won a pot on nothing. Sharp tonight, he noted, refilling glasses. Whiskey burned truth loose. Remember Walla Walla? You wrote. Hang tight.
Bro.
I'll fix it. He winced. First crack. I tried. Lawyers. Appeals. You tried to bury it. The words hung.
Heavy.
His eyes narrowed. What do you want?
Jake? Money?
The house free and clear. Vengeance. Whispered the shadows. But aloud. Truth.
About Dan.
The cut. Silence. Cards forgotten. Then, low, he offered. I took. Kid stupidity. But it built this. Gesture encompassing his life. My ruin. You could have had half. Instead, you played martyr. Martyr. The plea. The time my choice. To shield the name.
But now?
Grandma knew. Made me come here to expose you. Laughter. Bitter. Old Bat's revenge? From the grave, he stood. Looming. Sell the house.
Jake.
Walk away. Or I'll make sure you do. Threat. Veiled in brotherly concern. He left. Door slamming like a guillotine. I sat there. Pulse thundering. The USB burning in my pocket.
Leak it?
To the feds. The press? Tacoma Tribune would eat it alive. Tech tycoon's dark roots. But doubt crept. What of me? The fall guy who'd signed knowing the risks. Accomplice by blood. Week 4. Halloween kids trick-or-treating. But Elm Street stayed dark. My jack-o'-lantern a skull from Walmart. Reyes showed up instead. Knocking insistent. Burly. Tattooed knuckles. Cop bulk gone to seed. Mr. Harlan, your brother's worried. Sent me to check wiring.
Lie.
I let him in. Bat hidden behind the door. He poked around. Questions probing. Heard you found stuff. Old man Dan's junk. Tacoma accent thick. Threat implicit. I played dumb. Watched him eye the basement stairs. Yeah. Junk. He lingered. Then, Smart to drop it. Some debts don't die. Left with a nod. But his truck idled curbside till midnight, headlights cutting fog like accusations. Sleep brought nightmares. Ethan as a boy, matches in hand, grinning as flames licked the garage. Woke to smoke real, acrid from the kitchen. A grease fire?
No.
The hot plate. Left on. Omen? Or sabotage? The house groaned approval as I doused it. Morning. I emailed an anonymous tip to the SCC about Harlan Venture's irregularities.
Petty, but a jab.
Response? Ethan's call. Furious. What the fuck? Jake? Auditors crawling up my ass.
Deny? No.
Karma.
Bro.
For the fall. He hung up. But not before. You want war? You've got it.
War.
The word electrified. I fortified cameras from Amazon, cheap but wired to my phone. Neighbors noticed. Kowalski with pie. Harlan with a shotgun offer. Family troubles? Seen it before.
Yeah.
But this was Harlan blood. Thick and toxic. As November loomed, frost rhyming the windows, I uncovered the next layer. In the attic, a box of Grandma's journals. Ethan's eyes, Dan's eyes. I see the hunger.
Jake.
Forgive me for hiding. Pages of doubt. Her cancer-fueled resolve. The will to force the confrontation.
Forgive.
But rage bloomed instead. Ethan had taken everything. Family. Future.
Faith.
Time to take back. Yet, in quiet moments, staring at the baize lights from the widow's walk, I wondered, was I saving us? Or damning us both? November's gray soaked into my bones. Tacoma's perpetual drizzle turning the yard to slop, the house to a sodden beast. I shoveled leaves from gutters, hands cracked and raw, but the real rot was spreading inside me, where doubt and fury warred like rival gangs in Hilltop. The anonymous tip had stirred the hornet's nest. Ethan's emails flooded my inbox, forwarded from the cloud I'd hacked with a library tutorial, desist or regret. Childish, but laced with his signature, control. I ignored, focused on the journals. Grandma's words a confessional. 1975. Dan brings Ethan to the casino. Boy wins big, but it's the thrill in his eyes. Like his uncle's. Entries chronicled the grooming, Dan teaching poker. Then investments, Ethan absorbing like a sponge. By 81. The extortion, Dan's flight a mercy kill for the family rep. But the kicker, Grandpa confronted the boy after the fire. Ethan laughed. Said, "It's just practice." I covered. Again. For Jake.
Practice.
My stomach turned. The garage blaze. Ruled accidental, Ethan. 13. Playing with Dad's tools. I'd believed the tears then. Hugged him as sirens wailed.
Blind.
Reyes circled closer. His truck a fixture on street cams. One night, feed showed him jimmying the back gate. I met him in the yard, bat loose in hand. Brother's message? He smirked, breath whiskey sour. Just checking. You poking where you shouldn't. Like, oh, 8. I stepped close. Heart hammering. When you handled the books?
Blague surprise.
Then steal. Kid stuff. Drop it. Or next time it's not a check. He backed off. But the threat lingered. A bruise blooming on my ribs from an accidental elbow. Lindsay called next. Voice small. Ethan's raging. Says you're framing him. Jake. Stop. Framing? I laughed.
Bitter.
Ask him about the USB. Or the payments to you. Silence. Then sob. He said it was insurance. Against you coming back crazy. Crazy. The word we'd thrown post-prison. Her leaving note. I hung up. Smashed the phone against the wall. Screen spiderwebbed. Like my trust. The house absorbed it. Walls muffling the crack. I patched the device. But the fracture stayed. Vengeance needed allies. Harlan the cop. Over coffee at his place, bacon and suspicion. Sounds like fraud, he grunted, Vietnam scars puckering his neck. Feds love it.
But blood?
Messy. Messy.
Yeah.
I filed a report anyway. Anonymous at the Tacoma PD, Reyes envelope handoff. Small fry, but ripples. Ethan struck back swift, a lien on the house. Back taxes from the estate. Freezing my deed. Lawyers call. Your brother's contesting. Claims undue influence. Undo grandma's lucid scrawl. I fumed. Drove to his Bellevue condo, glass tower overlooking the lake. Doormen nodding like sentries. He buzzed me up. Robes silk. Scotch in hand despite noon. Cozy, I spat. Eyeing the view, my life. If not for him. Sit. He poured. Eyes appraising. This ends now.
Jake. Sign over the house. Take a payout.
$200K.
Bribe.
Dressed as peace. I sipped. Flame liquid courage. Or what? Reyes torches it. Flinch. Don't know what you're. The tape. Dan's confession. You're cut at 12. I played it on my phone. Tinny accusations filling the room. His face drained. Then hardened flip. Like a switch. Blackmail? From the grave? Fuck her.
Her grandma.
The venom shocked. You extorted him.
Ethan.
Built this on lies. He leaned in. Voice silk over steel. And you signed the loans. Accomplice. Little bro. We sink together.
Truth.
Partial. I'd known the numbers fudged. Trusted blood. But the fall?
His design.
I stood, knocking the glass. Amber pooled like blood. I'm done sinking. Left him raging. Sirens in my rearview, false alarm. But heart raced. Back home. The journals yielded more. 1995. Ethan proposes to Lindsay?
No.
She loves Jake. He resents. Watches too close. Resent. The seed of my marriage's end. I reached out to an old cellmate, Tommy Hacker, out on parole in Spokane. Oh, you for the smokes, I said on burner. Dig on Harlan Ventures. Days later. Files, embezzlement trails. Reyes as enforcer. Even a link to a 15-union bust, staged. To corner competitors. Armed. I planned the sting. Invite Ethan for Thanksgiving. Truce. He'd come. Greedy for the bonds. Record him confessing. Leak to press.
Clean.
Surgical. But Thanksgiving dawned bloody. Kowalski at the door. Face ashen. Your brother's place, fire. They think arson. News on her TV. Bellevue blaze. Ethan's condo gutted. No injuries, he'd been out. But the timing?
Me.
Cops came. Harlan vouching. Jake's clean, but suspicion lingered. Reyes glare from the squad car across the street. Ethan called from a hotel. Voice ash. You son of a bitch. My home gone. Like the garage? I countered, bluffing fury. Laughter. Hollow.
Touché.
But game's on now.
Click.
Paranoia peaked. I boarded windows tighter. Slept bat in hand. Journal's final entry. If he comes for the house.
Fight.
The secret room, under stairs. Weapons?
No. Truth.
The real ledger. Secret room. Basement again. Prying panel behind furnace. Click. Door swung. Inside. Safe cracked open. Papers avalanche. Not just ledger. Photos. Kithan. Teen. With Dan in Vegas. Stacks of chips. And worse, my signature forged on '08 docs. Ethan's hand guiding. Framed. Fully. Rage crested. I'd take the hit to shield him. But he'd pinned it all on me. Night fell. Storm raging. Headlights pierced fog. Ethan's rental. Crunching gravel. He pounded the door.
Soaked.
Let me in. Jake. Truce, for real. I opened.
Biden.
He stumbled in. Eyes wild. Reyes flipped. Feds inbound. Need the bonds, hideout cash. Flip his ally turning.
No bonds.
But this? I thrust the photos. Horror. Then calculation. Burn them. We're family. Family.
The word snapped something.
You fucked my wife. Framed me. Killed Dan's spirit for a cut. He lunged, not attack. But plea. Help me. Or we both burn. Moments stretched. Rain drumming. I lowered the bat. Upstairs. Study. Let him. Mind racing. Record? No, the phone smashed. But the house. It had eyes?
No. Just me.
In the study. He rifled drawers. Frantic. Where?
Here.
Fake bonds. Hand it over. He pocketed. Relief fleeting. Thanks.
Bro.
Oh, you.
Oh.
As he turned, I swung, the bat glancing his shoulder. Grunt of pain. For Grandma. He wheeled, shock to fury. You. A fight erupted, fists. Furniture splintering. He was stronger. Gym-toned. But I had house rage. Ghosts fueling. We grappled down hall, crashing into the loose floorboard. It gave. Leg plunging through rot, scream. Mine or his. Tangled. He gasped. Stop.
Jake Dandin Tidai.
I know where.
Lie?
Truth? The board splintered further. Darkness yawning below. The floor caved like God's own judgment, swallowing us into the crawl space, a black maw of insulation and exposed nails. Dust exploding in the flashlight's beam. I hit first. Shoulder slamming joist. Pain lancing white-hot. Ethan atop me. His weight driving breath from lungs. We thrashed, entangled in cobwebs and debris. The house settling above with ominous creaks. Rain hammered the roof. A relentless percussion underscoring our grunts and curses. Get off, I wheezed, knee driving his gut. He rolled,
Gasping.
but his hand clamped my throat, eyes feral in the gloom. The boy who'd extorted now fully unmasked. You started this. You jealous prick. Spittle flecked my face. Whiskey reek mingling with mildew. Jealous. The accusation burned truer than I cared. Of his polish. His ease in rooms, I choked. But no, this was deeper. Blood debt. I bucked, elbow cracking his jaw. He reeled, fingers slipping. Free. I scrambled, nails raking wood, emerging into the hallway amid splintered oak. He followed, roaring, tackle low. We tumbled downstairs in a heap of limbs and rage, fetching up against the banister with a crack that might have been bone. Living room. Chaos. Furniture upended. My sleeping bag shredded like entrails. We circled, breaths ragged, blood trickling from his lip. Mine too.
Cúp bơ tàn sát.
Dan. I panted. Where? Laughter. Manic. You think that's the play? Leverage? He lunged again. Fist glancing temple, stars burst. I countered. Haymaker to ribs, thud of impact. His wheeze satisfaction. Tell me. He staggered back, clutching side. Mexico. Last I heard, till the cartels.
Pause.
Eyes gleaming. I ratted him.
For immunity.
Feds cut a deal when the audit hit. Ratted. At 12. No, the timeline twisted. Bullshit. You were a kid. Smart kid. Flip again, pride swelling chest. Dan called from Juarez, begging wire. I traced the call, tipped the line. They got him in 83. Body washed up in the Gulf. Horror rooted me. Uncle Dan. Dead by betrayal, not flight, but extradition to killers. Ethan's hand.
You.
Monster. Survivor. He advanced. Slow now. Predator's gate. Like me. You could have been, but you played honest. Lost everything. Everything. Lindsay. Freedom. Self. But the house, this pit of revelations, had gifted clarity. I grabbed the poker from hearth, cold iron. Heavy. Grandma saw it. The will, her noose for you. He snorted. Dying ramble.
But you?
Her pawn. Swing fainted. I parried. Sparks where metal met. We danced. Brutal waltz, thud of blows. Splinter of wood. His suit shredded. My flannel rags, sweat-stung eyes. Mixing blood. Upstairs again. Chase frantic. He cornered me in the study. Journals scattered like fallen leaves. End it.
Jake.
Walk away rich. Offer. Desperate, the bonds peeking from pocket.
No.
I swung wild. He dodged. Counter-landing solar plexus. Air exploded. Knees buckled. Gasping. Vision tunneling. I clawed desk, the real ledger tumbling free. Pages fluttering. He snatched it, eyes widening. This fuck. Then. Cold. Burns nice. Lighter flicked, flame kissed paper. Orange bloom. No. I lunged, tackling into wall, plaster cracked, dust avalanche. Flames licked carpet, smoke acrid. Stop. Too late, fire spread, greedy on dry rot. We coughed.
Retreating.
House filling with haze. Downstairs. Inferno roared, kitchen first, then stairs. Trapped? No, back door. But Ethan blocked. Silhouette demonic. With me or burn. Ultimatum. Arm extended. Moment fractured. Take hand and cycle or swing. Damn us both.
I swung. Poker glänzt skål. Kontisikning.
He dropped. Eyes rolling. Grabbed his collar. Dragged through smoke. Lungs searing.
Outside.
Rain doused us. collapsing on lawn as sirens wailed distant. Fire trucks came, hoses hissing. Ethan stirred, groaning. Paramedics swarmed.
Iset.
Soaked. Watching flames gut the place. Journals, ledgers, ghosts consumed. Cops questioned. Fight? Arson.
Primelit. Again.
Old wiring. They bought it. Harlan's not helping. Ethan, concussed. Carted off, mumbled family under oxygen mask. Alone in ambulance bay. Waiting stitches. Doubt crashed. Had I killed the truth? Or set it free in ash? Dawn broke gray. House smoldering skeleton. I slept in truck. Dreams of Dan's Gulf corpse. Ethan's child grin. Week later. Hospital visit. He looked small in bed. For drip. Bruises blooming. Jake. Weak. But eyes sharp. Why? Balance. Sat heavy. But Dan, why tell? Shrug. Wince. Truth now. Or nothing. Then. Soft. Reyes torched my place. Covering tracks. Feds closing. Flip, victim now? Help me testify. Clean slate.
Tempt.
But the ledger's smoke lingered. For Lindsay? The frame? He nodded. Tears genuine? Regret. All of it. Regret. Word we'd needed years ago. I left undecided. Drive to the ruins. Fire marshal. Total loss. But odd, accelerant traces. Basement. Arson. Reyes? Or Ethan? Tying ends? Phone buzzed Tommy. Feds hit ventures. Your tips snowballed. Headlines followed. Tech mogul probed in money laundering. Ethan's fall began. I watched from afar. Job quit. Living motel. Cheap.
Vivitful.
Lindsay reached. He's crumbling. Come home. Home. The word mocked. No, the house gone. But secrets unearthed. Climax brewed. Subpoena for me. As witness.
Courtroom downtown.
Wood paneled like lawyer's office day one. Ethan. Suit crisp. But eyes haunted. Reyes testified first deal for leniency. Spilling. Harlan Sr. Ethan. Ordered the fixes. Oh, 8. The fires. All. Ethan's turn. Breakdown on stand. Tears for jury. My brother knew. Signed off.
Lie.
Twisting knife. My testimony. Tape played. Dan's voice damning. Photos submitted. Forgeries exposed. Jury split. Faces torn. Sympathy for the fallen golden boy. Scorn for the architect. Verdict hung days. Tacoma buzzing. Media camped my motel. Revenge or justice. Finally, guilty. Fraud and conspiracy. 10 years. Federal pen. Ethan. Shackled. Met my eyes last. Sorry. Bro.
Sorry.
Too late, but as gavel fell. Twist. Judge's chambers. Private. Harlan Jacob. Your prints on some docs. Accomplice?
No.
But doubt. Had I known enough? Walked free. But stained. Outside. Rain again. Lindsay waited.
Tentative.
Proud.
Proud.
Of the pyre? The split soul? Drove south. Toward the Olympics cabin, Grandma's gift. Untouched. Inside. Her photo smiled. Forgive. Did I? The house's ash whispered no. But the road? Open. Yet. In rear view. A shadow, Reyes. Free on technicality. Cycle unbroken? Winter clamped Tacoma in iron. Snow dusting the ruins like powdered regret. The lot on Elm Street cordoned yellow tape fluttering like surrender flags. Motel life chafed, thin walls thumping with neighbors' dramas. My reflection in the bathroom mirror a stranger's, hollow-cheeked and hard-eyed. The trial's echo faded from news cycles, replaced by holiday cheer I couldn't stomach, Bing Crosby on radios. Lights strung on evergreens mocking my barren soul. Ethan in McNeil Island, iron-barred. But his ghost lingered, letters smuggled via Tommy, rotting here. You're doing. But Dan? He deserved it.
Deserved.
The word festered. I'd replayed the crawlspace brawl nights on end. Poker swing a phantom, ache in my arm. Mercy or murder? The house's fire had decided, consuming evidence but birthing truth in court. Yet victory tasted flat, like diner coffee reheated too long. Lindsay persisted, calls, texts, a care package of my old flannel and her chili recipe. Rebuild.
Jake.
With me. Rebuild. The fantasy tempted, her laugh in a new kitchen. Sins laundered in time. But trust? Shattered like that mirror. Shards too sharp for glue. Reyes haunted margins. Sighted at dives in Ruston. Nursing beers. Eyes tracking shadows.
Parole stricte.
But grudges looser. Harlan warned, watch your six. Guys like him don't forget. I bought a .38 from a fence in Fife, cold steel. Registration ghosted, tucked in glove box. Paranoia or prudence? Line blurred. New gig. Bouncer at a strip club off Pacific Avenue, neon pulse. Bass thumping like heart attacks. Cash under table. Nights blending in haze of smoke and desperation. There. Stories flowed. Dancers with bruises. Patrons with tales of union shakedowns. 1. Ruby, ink-sleeved. Sharp as switchblades, new Reyes. Vix, Ethan's dog. Did the dirty for years. Now off-leash. Hunting. Hunting me. Nodded. Bought her a drink. Whitell. She shrugged. Red lips curling. Hate loose ends. And you? Look like you need an edge.
Edge.
Her number burned in my wallet. Potential ally or trap. Drove back, through slush. Mind mapping contingencies, safe houses, burners, the cabin as bolt hole. Christmas Eve, alone with a six-pack and TV static. The call came blocked. Harlan, Reyes gravel. Merry fucking holidays. Your brother's singing like a canary. Mentioned you. Ice in veins.
Good.
Clean air. Laughter.
Wet.
Air's thin in graves. Meet me. Or I come calling. Address. Abandoned warehouse by the port. A Sarco smelter ghosts looming. Trap? Obviously. But in action?
Suicide.
Told no one, not even Ruby. Drove midnight streets. .38 heavy on hip. Snow muffling tires. Warehouse yawned. Doors ajar. Wind whistling voids. Inside. Concrete cathedral, rusted beams. Pallets stacked like pyres. Reyes weighted center. Floodlight halo. Pistol loose. Come to confess? End it. Stepped forward. Hands open.
Parley.
He circled. Predator. Ethan framed you good.
But you?
Finished him. Respect. Respect. Twisted compliment. Dan first. You clean that up. Grin. Gap-toothed. Mexico detail?
Yeah.
Cartels pay premium for snitches. Flip, pride to pity. You Harlans curse blood. Always flipping on kin.
Kin.
Echoed Ethan's stand tears. Not me. Liar. Gun rose. Casual. Ethan's deal included you. Accessory after. Feds coming.
Lie.
Truth. Heart slammed. Lunged. Desperation's gift. Grabbed wrist. Twist. Shot cracked. Ricochet sparking. We grappled. Concrete grinding knees. .38 skittering. He was stronger.
Excabuk.
But rage mine for Dan.
Grandma.
The house's pyre. Headbutt cracked nose. Blood hot, he reeled. Cursing Spanish. Dove for gun, fingers closed. Trigger pulled blind.
Click.
Empty?
No. Boom.
His .45 in play. Bullet grazing thigh, fire bloom. Leg buckling. Rolled. Firing wild, his shot chipped beam. Mine stitched arm. Standoff. Panting. Finish it. He charged. Knife flashing, backup steel. Parried with .38 barrel. Clang. Slashed air. Dance deadly slash.
Dodge.
Blood slicking floor. Knife nicked ribs. Shallow but sting. I countered. But stroke to temple stagger. Family. Huh. Spat blood. Ethan's sold you out too. Doubt flickered his eyes, flip. Loyalty's currency. Yours spent. Lunge final. I sidestepped. Tripped him into pallet. Crash. Wood splintering. Knife skittered. Grabbed it. Plunged not kill. But hamstring. Scream echoed.
Raw.
Sirens distant. Port watch? He crawled.
Gasping.
Mercy.
Deal.
Mercy. The word from Ethan's hospital bed. I pressed .38 to skull. Finger white. And cycle?
No.
Dropped gun.
Kicked his.
Rot free. But feds know. Left him moaning. Limping to truck. Thigh tourniquet with belt. Drove bleeding. Hospital ER stitching without questions. Tacoma code. Ruby texted. Heard shots. You good? Ally confirmed. Met her Dawn diner. Coffee black. Reyes down. Limping. Nod. Impressed. Good. But Ethan's deeper, offshores to cartels. Dan's money seeded it. Cartels. Mexico threads tightening. Proof. Need hack. Tommy. I nodded. Chain lengthened. New Year dawned. Snow melting to mud. Subpoena followed grand jury. Ethan's laundering ring. Testified again. Ruby's files gold. Transfers to Sinaloa shells. Reyes's mule. Jury indicted ghosts. Cartel whispers. Ethan. From cell. You unleashed hell. Thanks. Thanks. Sarcasm or surrender. Letters evolved. Dan visited once. 90s. Begged return. I refused. Afraid. Afraid. Human crack in armor. Forgiveness? No, but understanding. Bitter pill. Spring teased. Buds on brambles regrowing on elm lot. I bought it back. Cheap at auction. Ethan's estate for sale. Cleared rubble. Foundation pour pending. New start or grave for old. Lindsay visited site.
Tentative.
Build together? Tempted. But shadows, Reyes vanished. Rumored south. Cartel eyes? Decline soft. Need time.
Time.
The will's gift. Twisted. Yet. In quiet. Journal salvage singed. Jake. Love breaks curses. Or makes them. Love.
For brother?
Self. Road forked. Spring uncoiled slow. Tacoma's cherry blossoms bleeding pink against industrial gray. A fragile beauty, mocking the scars I carried. The lot on elm-greened, tentative grass seeding. Blackberries tamed, but building stalled. Permits tangled in estate red tape. Motel evicted for Renos. Forced me to the cabin up in the Olympics, pine-scented isolation. Deer paths, my only neighbors. There, amid stacks of contractor bids. The past fermented, Ethan's appeals denied. Sentence hardened to 15 on new counts, Ruby's friends, in low places feeding intel on Reyes trail, Juarez bound. Cartel collections. Tommy's hacks deep in the web, Dan's death a ruse, faked by federals for witness protection. But Ethan's tip blew it. Body real in 83 surf. Irony. My brother's betrayal birthed the very empire he built. Cartels. Hungry for the laundering pipeline. Now hunted loose ends, me included, as the snitch's kin. Paranoia peaked, truck tampered in sequin lot. Brake soft, shadow in cabin mirrors at dusk. .38 constant companion. Ruby coaching range time, her aim's surgical. Laugh dark. Survival's the real revenge. Harlan. Not bodies. Bodies. Temptation whispered nights by wood stove. Flames dancing like the house's pyre. Reyes first. Then Ethan in his cage. Poison commissary? No, too messy.
To him.
Lindsay faded to postcards. Miss you. Therapy helps.
Therapy.
We'd tried post-prison. Her tears my absolution. Now, mine own needed VA shrink in Port Angeles. Ex-Marine dissecting dreams. The bat swing. Guilt or justice?
Both.
Sessions unearthed buried. Childhood flips. Ethan charming bullies to my side. Then claiming credit, me. Shadow. Content in reflected glory. Betrayal's root? Not just 08, but lifetime of yielding. Reclaim, Doc urged.
Reclaim.
I started small, coding again. Freelance apps for local breweries, my old talent. Stolen once. Income trickled. Enough for Elm Foundation, concrete poured. Footing solid. Summer heatwave hit. Olympics sweltering. Driving me coastal. Port Townsend ferries. Salt air scouring lungs. There. Twist. Email from unknown. Attachment video, grainy. 83 Gulf Beach.
Dan.
Alive? No, drowning simulation. Actor? But voiceover, Ethan's. Boyish, snitch dies. Deep fake? Or memory? Tommy verified. Authentic. From Dan's old camcorder. Seized in raid. Ethan. Filming evidence for feds. Staging the end.
Sick.
Drove to McNeil visiting room. Plexiglass dividing. He looked gaunt. Orange jumpsuit swallowing frame. Jake. Surprise. Then wariness. The video. Thrust printout. You filmed his murder? Blink. Then nod slow. Thought it'd seal the deal. Immunity. Flip, remorse? Kid hubris. Feds used it. Buried the body cam. Hubris. The sin binding us. Cartels know.
Shrug.
Reyes blabbed. They're coming for you. Threat or bait? Why warn? Eyes met. Mirror blue. Family. Last flip.
Last.
Word hung. left unsettled. Fairy rocking like conscience. Ruby called. Juarez chatter. Hit on Harlan name.
Hit.
Concrete. Packed cabin. Headed elm. Half frame up. Walls skeletal. Workers scattered July 4th. Fireworks booming distant. Alone. Hammering joists. Sweat ritual. Then. Nightfall. Truck lights. Uninvited. Reyes limping. Bandana masking. Pistol drawn. Endgame. Harlan. No talk. Dove behind stack lumber. Shot splintered wood. Acrid. Returned fire. .38 bark. Miss. But close. He advanced. Hobbled but relentless. For Ethan. Ethan? Loyalty flipped to vengeance? He sold you. Lies.
Grenade?
No, Molotov. Arc glass fire. Frame ignited. Flames leaping dry timber. Inferno redux. I fired cover. Legged it to truck. Tire shot out. Slump. Reyes closed. Gun raised. Ruby's voice. Tire screech. Her Jeep barreling. Shots exchanged. He wheeled. Fleeing dark. She dragged me clear. Flames roaring. Called it. Back up en route. Cops swarmed. Fire quelled. Frame saved.
Barely.
Reyes ghosted again. But trail hot. DEA sniffing cartel ties. Aftermath. Hospital again. Burns minor. Infection risk. Lindsay visited. Holding hand. Enough.
Jake.
Come home to me. Home. Her eyes pleaded.
Walls down.
Forgive. Moments stretched. Nodded. Trying. Fall built slow. Frame to roof. Windows in, house reborn. Modern lines on Victorian bones. Therapy continued. Doc probing. Revenge cycle, break it? Broke with Lindsay's ring. Simple gold, second chance. Wedding small. Beach at low tide. Harlan toasting. To ghosts buried. But ghosts whisper. Ethan's last letter. Proud of you.
Bro.
Flip to light.
Light.
Possible? Cartel loose and nagged. Ruby. Reyes cornered Tijuana. Extradition pending. Pending. Justices tease. Housewarming, friends sparse. But warm, chilly bubbling. Laughter tentative. Lindsay in kitchen. Glowing. Our start.
Ours.
Bed that night. Her touch healing, scars faded. Not gone. Yet. Dawn news alert, Reyes killed. Tijuana shootout. Cartel purge. Cycle closed. Or new. Autumn waned to winter's edge. Tacoma's wind stripping leaves like stripping illusions. The new house on Elm standing defiant, insulated, wired smart. A fortress of reclaimed wood and fresh paint. Lindsay and I settled uneasy. Her graphic design gigs from home. My app dev scaling to a small team in a cowork downtown. Mornings, coffee on the porch. Her head on shoulder. Bay view hazy. Happy, she'd ask. Fingers tracing my ring.
Happy.
Word foreign. But growing roots. Therapy bridged gaps. Couple sessions unpacking the betrayal. Ethan's shadow named. Not shunned. He was broken, she'd say. Tears for the man she'd loved first, as friend. But you?
Whole.
Whole. Doc nodded. Vengeance healed by release. Release, letters to Ethan. Unsent stack, hate you. Love you.
Free.
He wrote back. Sporadic. Parole board looming. Good behavior. Miss the cabin. Fish again? Dream impossible.
But thaw.
Ruby faded to texts, new life. Seattle undercover. Watch the skies. Harlan. Skies clear. But vigilance habit. Holiday lights strung. Tree felled from Olympics, grandpa's axe. Ceremonial. Ornaments. Polaroids salvaged. Dan's photo added. Forgiven ghost. Lindsay hung it. Family. All.
All.
Expanded. Kowalski's cookies. Harlan's stories. No Ethan. But his absence softer. New Year. Party small. Fire pit crackling. Champagne pop. Toast to ashes. Rebirth. Lindsay pulled aside. Pregnant. Shock. Joy crash. Ours.
Ours.
Ultrasound black-white. Heartbeat flutter. Life from ruin. But twist shadowed spring. Package. No sender. Cassette. Labeled truth too. Played on new deck. Ethan's voice. Prison echo. Jake, if you're hearing, I'm out. Deal struck. Testify on cartels. But Reyes? He wasn't alone. I sent him. Last play. To scare you straight.
Scare.
The attacks, breaks. Warehouse. Fire. Ethan's orchestration. From cell? Forgive the flips. One more. The money. Dan's stash. Buried under the new foundation. Yours. Clean now. Money. Coordinates sketched. Basement corner.
Prêt pour.
Doug midnight. Lindsay flashlight. Tin box. Intact. Stacks hundreds. Ledger final. Legit investments. Laundered clean over decades. Fortune. Not greeds. But seed. Trust for kid. College. Security. Called feds. Anonymous drop. Box surrendered. Clean hands, agent said. Your brother's redemption? Redemption. Ethan's final flip. To light? Summer born. Belly swelling. House garden blooming. Tomatoes red as old rage. Ethan paroled early. Condition strict, no contact. But letter. Proud uncle. Name him Daniel? Daniel. Considered. Chose Harlan neutral ground. Birth. August storm. Hospital grip white. Boy wailed. Eyes blue ours. Held him. Tears salt. Cycle broken? Years blurred. Toddler steps on elm lawn. Brambles long tamed. Ethan sighted once, distant. Coffee shop. Not exchanged. No words.
But peace.
Lindsay. Truce?
Truce.
House stood. Secrets sealed in concrete. Yet. Final whisper. Dream of crawl space.
Bat raised.
Woke sweating. But boy cooed crib-side. Forgiven. Ending? Not happy. Not tragedy, gray American. Like us. Debated still. Hero or villain. You decide. The end? No, life flips on.